on the last chelik of the Masechta, the story of Rebbe Simloi coming to the Pidyon Haben. So the Mefarshim asked the question, the Rebbe, this is a Hadran from Tofshin Chav Beis. I mentioned before there was a Hadran that the Rebbe said Tofshin Lamed Beis for Shnas HaShivim. Shnas HaShishim, 10 years earlier, the Rebbe also made a Hadran on Masechta Pesachim. But the recordings of both of them, by the way, are available to listen to. I'll put it later on the group. You can listen to the Rebbe making the Hadran. So the Rebbe asked the question, the Mefarshim asked the question, they asked Rab Simloi, who makes the Shechayonu? But if you look in the Gemara, it says Pshita, that the father makes the bracha al Pidyon Haben. But who makes the Shechayonu? Why does the Gemara give the introduction of Pshita that the father makes the bracha? Of course he makes the bracha, it's his mitzvah. And then in the conclusion, the very last words of the Masechta is Avi haben mevarich shtayim, that the father makes both brachas. Why does it say shtayim? We never had a question about the bracha al Pidyon Haben. It should have just said Avi haben makes the bracha Shechayonu. Those are the two questions that the Rebbe discusses. And the Rebbe basically explains that who's the one that has the mitzvah of Pidyon Haben? The father is the one that has the mitzvah of Pidyon Haben because the baby, 30 days old, can't do the mitzvah. But the question though is it really the father's mitzvah? Or maybe it's really the baby's mitzvah. He's the one that's the b'chayr. Elamai, because he's unable to do it, so the father is doing it for him. Or maybe no, maybe it's taka the father's mitzvah. And even after the baby becomes a gadol, and there's a pasuk that you learn out that he's mechuyev to do the pidyon on his own, but still the father still has the mitzvah always. It's the father's mitzvah to see to it that his son has a Pidyon Haben, whether he's a baby, whether he's older. So the Rebbe says, what the Gemara here is saying is as follows. Pshita avi haben mevarach al Pidyon Haben. The Gemara meant to say this pshita, not only when it's a baby 30 days old. Pshita, that even when the baby becomes a gadol and the father is doing the Pidyon Haben, it remains the father's mitzvah and he makes the bracha. In other words, when he's a gadol, don't think that now the son makes the bracha. No, it's still the father's mitzvah. He's the one that makes the bracha. If so, based on that, we'll have a shaila regarding Shechayonu. And the Rebbe explains as follows. If you're going to say that it's really the ben's mitzvah, it's not even the father's mitzvah b'chlal. He's doing it b'shlichus of his son. So then it would be mistaver to say that the Kayin makes the Shechayonu. Because the Kayin is getting an actual hana. He's getting his own hana from the money that he's getting. The Avi Ben, it's not even his mitzvah b'chlal. It's the Ben's mitzvah. So therefore the Gemara starts off saying, Pshita, Avi Ben mevarech, it befedish is the father's mitzvah. If it is the father's mitzvah, so now we have a shaila. On one hand, the father is the one that has the mitzvah. On the other hand, it's the kain that gets hana from the money, and he has a new money that he's getting, so he should make a shechayanu. That's the basis of the question over here, who makes the bracha of shechayanu. And then the Gemara concludes, Avi Ben mevarech shtayim. So the Gemara clarifies that the father makes both brachas, and the reason is because the mitzvah, side the mitzvah and side the shechayanu belongs to the father. You shouldn't make a mistake and think that the reason why the father makes the shechayanu is because there's not enough of a reason for the kain to make a shechayanu. You may think that the conclusion of the Gemara would simply say that the kain does not make shechayanu, that the reason is because maybe it's not such a big anah. 5 slayim, nu vifel geld is this? How much is 5 slayim today? About $100, even less. So maybe you would think, no, it's not even so much money, so therefore the kain doesn't make the bracha. So the Gemara says, no, Avia ben mevarich shtayim, the point is, it's the father's mitzvah, he makes the bracha al Pidyon Haben, he makes the bracha shechayanu, it's all his. That's niglet, what the Rebbe explained. Then al Pichsidis, the Rebbe explained the beautiful Indian. The Rebbe said, what the Gemara is really talking about is the pidyon of B'ni B'chayri Yisrael, redeeming the Yidden from Golus. That's what the Gemara is really talking about. And the pidyon of the Eibishter, the Avia ben, the Gemara talks about the Avia ben and the Kayin, it's both going on the Eibishter. The Eibishter is the one that redeems Yidden from Golus. Elamai, there's the Avia ben, the Eibishter is called the Avia ben, and the Eibishter is also called Kayin. Elakeichem Kayinhu. And there's two different dargas. There's Mamala Kalalman and Seviv Kalalman. Avia ben refers to Seviv Kalalman. The Eibishter, the Avinu Shebashamayim is. Kayin is the darga of Chesed, where the Eibishter comes down into Mamala Kalalman. It's a lower madrega. So the Rebbe says as follows: the sheirish of the Geula comes from Avia ben, comes from the Eibishter himself, from Lamayla Meseder Shtalshalos. The only way the Eibishter can pull all Yidden out of Golus comes from Avia ben, from the Eibishter Alein. But the question though is, when it comes down here in this world, when the Golus when the Geula that is manifest over here in this world, how does it manifest? Does it come bislapshus through Mamala Kalalman, or does that also come directly from the Eibishter himself? The Shechayanu lizman hazeh, bringing the Geula down here into Zman, where every individual Yid has to be taken out of his Golus. in his man, in his golus. Does that come from the Aviyah Ben, or does that come from a lower level, from the Kayin? And the conclusion of the Gemara is Aviyah Ben Mevarach Shtayim. The Eibishter Alein comes and takes every single yid out of golus. Not only the Sheirish of the Gula comes from the Eibishter himself, even the Hamshache, in the taking every individual out of Golus in his place, in his man, also comes from the Aviyah Ben Mevarach Shtayim, to take the B'ni B'chayri Yisrael out of Golus. That's the Taich that the Rebbe explained, Baruch Nisan Yonim. So that, the connection to the Rebbe concluded then that Masechta Pesachim, that's the whole thing of Masechta Pesachim. Yidden coming out of Mitzrayim, and Pidyon Ben is all Zeichel Yitzias Mitzrayim. The Pidyon of the Makkis B'chayris and the Eben soll Zeichel sein, the Schus of the Siyum of this Masechta, and we're right before Pesach. Mashiach could still come, and we could still be Makriv of the Korban Pesach. There's still time. It's even before Yud Nissen. We have enough time that we learned in the Gemara that you have to have the carbon for 4 days, to be mevaked from a mum for 4 days. We have enough time to get the behemoths, to have 4 days to be makriv the carbon. We have noch Zeit.
You can do that even before Mashiach comes.
We can prepare it. You're saying now. Okay, you could. That's true. That prepare that carbon Pesach.
And they're taking shutras.
We can make. You want to join my Chabura, Rabbi Posner?
Is there any other one that I want to join?
Join my Chabura.
You're allowed to shech.
Where's this?
Unbelievable.